So today I'm just going to go through my 4th edition set. I put this together with singles that I bought through TCG Player, and I tried not to order from the main store itself. I'll get to that in a little bit. I consider the 4th edition set to be basically the last of the old school core sets because it was the last set that really just contained art that had been used previously in all the other sets. 5th edition reused some art, but because of issues with royalties, they changed it starting in 5th edition. So for example, this is the original art for Urg Raiders. There's a 5th edition Urg Raiders. It looks completely different. It's different art. So the 4th edition was the last set that had all reprints and used the original art for everything. So I put this together, like I said, from singles I bought from TCG Player. And, when I go through 4th edition, I think about when it came out. Notice the differences, no Pinnacle here, there were no dual lands. Honestly, I didn't like that it looked more saturated than Revised. They were trying to basically fix Revised, make it look more like Unlimited. But I liked the look of Revised at the time. I thought it was neat that the cards looked kind of aged, that they looked magical. I also liked that the text was bigger and smaller in different cards, whereas in 4th edition they tried to standardize the text for the most part. But over the years, it's grown on me. I think the 4th edition's a pretty nice set. And to pick everything up and to put this together was about $130. And this was all kind of part of an experiment. So there are a couple money cards in here. There's Sylvan Library, Land Tax. Those are the big money cards. But for the most part, it's an affordable set that a person could just pick up, on a whim. Versus, Revised or something earlier than that. There's a couple cards in here you really don't see again or see much. It was the end of the line for a couple prints. There's the Land Tax. But all in all, I thought it was a really neat looking set. Years later, at the time, I was just like, whatever. I want new cards. Really didn't care about access to the older cards. So last of the old school sets. It has some nice color to it, a lot of nice saturation. They brought back the bevel that you had originally seen on Unlimited that they removed and revised. So they're nice looking cards. They're not the best cards in the world. A lot of people don't like the little bits of text at the bottom, the copyright information. But one of the things that I really didn't know about 4th edition, that I learned after the fact, after I started making videos on counterfeit cards, was of alternate 4th edition. So alternate 4th edition cards become visible under blacklight because they actually absorb the blacklight instead of reflecting it. So if we turn the blacklight on, and let's see if we can catch this on camera and turn this one off, you can see there's some alt 4th cards mixed in with the 4th edition cards. So like I said, I had purchased these as individuals, as singles, from various people. And the reason I did that is because there's over 300 cards in the set. And I had heard that alt 4th edition was about 1% of the print run of regular 4th edition. So I was curious if I would get any alt 4th cards buying this set. And the fact of the matter is I didn't. All the alt 4th cards you're seeing here basically came out of a lot that I bought. And then there were a couple other smaller purchases that I bought of alt 4th cards. So when people think alt 4th, the black light is the big one. The other thing is the magic symbol on the back of the card. The word magic is done entirely in blue tones instead of multi-tones. One of the things they talk about is the feel of the card. They have a more waxy feel to them than a regular 4th edition card. Another interesting thing is the thickness. That's often mentioned, but if you use a caliper and you actually measure the thickness of these cards, some of them are the same thickness as regular 4th edition cards. They vary by like hundredths of a millimeter, and honestly, you really can't tell the difference in terms of thickness. Even using a caliper, like I said, some of them are the same thickness, but they feel thicker because of the different finish on them. One of the other experiments I did, other than buying these cards, individually to try to determine what kind of ratio of alt-4th I'd get, which was 0, is I decided to start buying Shivan Dragons from 4th edition, because the 4th edition Shivan Dragons, alt-4th edition Shivan Dragons, like $60 right now. And I figure if I bought 100 Shivan Dragons, that eventually I would hit an alt-4th. And I'm assuming that ratio isn't accurate anymore. Even if they were 1% of the print run at one time, currently with the number that have been gone through, with the number of cards that have been picked out and over, they no longer make up 1% of the wild 4th edition cards. But to put that in perspective, the 4th edition had a print run of approximately 400 million is what people estimate it at. If it is 1% alt-4th available, then the alt-4th edition cards are more rare than alpha. No. They're more rare than beta. They're less rare than alpha. So they fall in the middle. But the thing is, they're obviously not worth anywhere near as much as an alpha card or a beta card in any of those cases. And why is that? Well, they don't look special. They're just, if you just glance at them, they just look like regular cards. But one of the neat things, though, is the printing process that they use for the alt-4th edition cards is different than the printing process that was used on regular 4th edition cards and all the other Magic cards. If you zoom in on them, and I'll zoom in here, the card on the left is from Legends, Vampire Bats. The card in the middle is alt-4th. The card on the right is regular 4th. And you can see that the alt-4th looks clearer. It does not have rosettes. It has basically a higher resolution picture. Now, it's not a huge difference here. It's more of the difference between going from HD to 4K, something that you can tell if you're looking for it, but you might not be able to tell at a glance. But the alt-4th cards do have a better picture. You can zoom way in on them, and the art is basically the best version of each of these arts you're going to find. Now, coming back to the book, some of the alt-4th cards are printed, they look better. So this is an alt-4th over here on the right. This is a traditional 4th. And if you were to zoom in on these, which I'll try to do, the alt-4th is a much darker color than the regular 4th edition. It looks better than the unlimited editions that I have. It's a very, deep, or I've heard the term ripe. It's very ripe in color. It's a very nice color. This Will-o'-the-Wisp is a very nice Will-o'-the-Wisp. The Vampire Bats that I just showed was a very nice Vampire Bats. But, unfortunately, it's not consistently better. So I'm going to page forth to a force of nature. So again, alt-4th on the right, regular 4th on the left, and the alt-4th on the right has this kind of brownish, muddy color to it. I can't say if that's the way the original art looks, but it doesn't look nice. It doesn't look as good as the regular 4th edition card. So, not every card looks better. And if we keep on paging through and we go to red, and we pull out the Troll, Uthin Troll, and this is going to be a little more difficult to see on here, maybe. So, in this case, both of these cards are alt-4th edition. This card, the art on it is hard to read. It's very, the coloration's poor, the definition is bad. The card on the left, also alt-4th, has much better definition than the card on the right. It looks a lot better. And I really think that's the reason Wizards kind of threw their arms up on this. If I'm seeing print quality issues just between two random cards consistently, that's throwing up red flags that maybe someone somewhere didn't really do the print process the way they should have, that they had an issue with quality control. So, that's kind of my take home from this experiment with alt-4th. They're rare. They're very rare, some of them. There was a lot of hype. If you look back, you'll see an online post from when Star City Games started carrying alt-4th that people were very excited about it. People were buying, $25, $30 commons because they thought it was going to be like Summer Magic. They were going to call it Summer Fourth. They were trying to find a name for it. So there was a lot of hype on it. And some of the cards do look a lot better. The Will-O-the-Wisp is pretty sharp, and I've got two of them, and they both have very similar, deep, rich coloring. There's the other one. Some of the arts do look, I'll pan up to it, look a lot better. Some look a little bit worse. But they're not really any more expensive except for the money cards than regular 4th edition, even though they're considerably more rare. And it's because if you're playing across from someone with alt 4th, you're never going to know it unless you pull out a blacklight or they do. You're just going to think, well, that's a nice printing of that card. It's a little more ripe. So it's a cool addition. The fact that there's the increased resolution of these cards, that some of the printings do look a lot better. But it's really something that most people don't know about, and honestly a lot of people, they just don't care about it. So hopefully you found this interesting, the differences between the two and kind of what I've seen during this collection, and maybe it'll inspire you to pick up some alt 4th cards for your sets too.